Hello artists, Thomas here. Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about 5 reasons why your art is not improving or seemingly not improving from your perspective. Didn't get any Instagram story tags recently, so no shout out at the beginning of this video. If you like a possible shout out for your art account on Instagram, tag me in an Instagram story with a shot of this video or something like that. So reason number 1, this is not actually investing enough time into a single medium. I think one of the problems of modern or contemporary art is that technically any material now can be used for your artwork. There isn't this kind of, I guess, limited amount of materials that defines you as an artist. Many different artists have many different materials, and that gives us almost like an infinite amount of options because anything can be art now. But for example, I'm a painter, but then specifically an oil painter. I'm investing all my time into learning how to become an oil painter, and the more time I invest into, the more hours I put into oil painting, the more I'm going to get out of it. So I think one of the problems young artists have nowadays is trying out so many different things, which isn't necessarily a bad thing early on, but it's good to focus and stay with one medium and learn it properly and master that medium so that you become proficient and very, very good at that one thing. Point number 2, speaking of time, we need to invest that time smartly, not wasting our time on things which might not improve our practice. So for example, I give the example of let's just say you're interested in, photorealistic landscape painting. You're not going to invest your time, making abstract textures with a palette knife. And unfortunately, some people do go and spend their time doing other things rather than actually refining their skills in what the kind of aesthetic or subject that they're interested in. My biggest advice to young people, young artists, is you should be looking at people who you admire, artists that you admire, the aesthetic that you want. Maybe pick like 5 artists and try and break down their work, break down the textures, the technique, the imagery, and just use it for your own work. And by kind of stealing or taking from them, you begin to kind of develop your own painting language. Also have a think. Different artists have different processes. Do they have a traditional kind of foundation? What kind of paint do they use? What kind of, do they do a drawing first? Like, think about all of this stuff to do with process, and you will begin to work out your own process. Number 3, this is a quick one, referring to time again. So number 2 was not being smart enough with your time. Number 3 is not spending enough time. I think people underestimate the amount of hours and hours and hours it takes to get really good at one thing, which is why my first point was spend a lot of hours on one thing until you get good at it, but realize that it's going to take a long time to get good. Now, I've been oil painting for probably around 7 years now, and I feel like I'm only just starting to get a hang of some of the control when it comes to oil painting in particular, and it's just such a kind of technical craft, and I'm just getting my head around it, starting to get my head around it 7 years in. So time, be patient, be confident, and have a positive attitude. Number 4, copying other artists or kind of learning to steal from them. I feel like there's a thing within, artistic culture amongst, especially amongst the internet is what I see, is like copying is a bad thing, and you should like never copy, and you should always be drawing and creating from your imagination, as if like everything you do needs to be completely original from yourself, which is nonsensical. There's no such thing as originality. We're always taking and using reference from something, even if it's from our imagination. So I think early on, when you haven't developed your own kind of artistic language, it's really important to copy people that you admire. Literally just copy them. You don't even have, obviously don't copy and present it as your own work. This is in the wrong. But in terms of a learning process, breaking down someone's work, copying that work teaches you amazing things. And, copying as well teaches you to really look at something. So maybe if you admire a painter or something like that, and you begin to copy their work, you begin to appreciate their work even more, because you start to begin to realize the process and the work that has gone into creating that piece. And then you can kind of challenge yourself to see if you can create the same aesthetic. Number 5, I'm going to touch on confidence and kind of positivity as my final point. I feel like a lot of people are just generally quite insecure about themselves, and therefore that kind of plays into their work as well. And I think we all need to work on ourselves as individuals when it comes to confidence, positivity, direction. None of us are ever gonna have, 100% great energy and positivity and whatever all the time, right? It's impossible for a human being to constantly be, high. We all have our ups and downs as human beings. I always say it's good to prepare for the downs when you are high, so that the lows aren't as low, if that makes any sense. But work on kind of knowing yourself as a human being self-aware, looking at your strengths and your weaknesses, being kind of positively critical of yourself. Don't just tell yourself negative nonsense which has no basis, and don't listen. Get rid of negative people and comments in your life. But you should be able to be you just because you are being you, if that makes any sense. You want to do what you want to do, not because of people saying positive or negative stuff to you. It's because you should love what you're doing, not because, I don't know, your friend said your painting looked cool, or stop doing it because your friend said your painting doesn't look cool. And also remember that there isn't really a right or wrong of kind of doing something. Like the modern world, we have so many opportunities and pathways when it comes to creativity and art. Don't worry about kind of making the right decision all the time. And if you make the wrong decision and you realize it's a wrong decision, you learn from that. It's a mistake. Make it a positive thing. So there isn't like this golden pathway to go down. All of us have our own individual pathways. You can take from other people's pathways. If you think though that kind of section of their path will work for you, great. And not great if it doesn't. Learn from the mistake, move on, just keep working. Okay, so that's my kind of positive ending. I hope this video has been somewhat helpful to those listening. Please comment if you have any positive or negative criticism. I listen to it all, but as I said, it kind of doesn't really affect me that much. But I do listen to you guys on kind of maybe what's working, what's not working from what I say in these videos. And please subscribe for more artistic content. Follow me on Instagram. And here is my awkward goodbye.